Okay. In response to some of Jonathan's claims that he presented, he said it was the definition of terminal illness was hazy and therefore couldn't be put into law. Oregon has this enacted right now, and they have the definition of a terminal illness that it will lead to death within 6 months. So to account for any discrepancy and misdiagnosis, Oregon has other statutes in order that the prescribing physician and a separate consulting physician must confirm the diagnosis and prognosis. So you get a second opinion on your prognosis before you're allowed to request for euthanasia. And then he talked about the psychological state of the patient being a problem. And if either physician believes the patient's judgment is impaired by psychiatric or psychological disorder, the patient must be referred for a psychological examination. This is straight from the annual report Oregon puts out on the Death with Dignity Act from the Oregon Department of Human Services. And also a statement from David Smith in an article, A Psychiatric Defense of Aid in Dying. He says that assisted suicide is prone to misinterpretation because it conjures up the notion of an irrational act of self-destruction by an individual who is medically well or whose death is not imminent. There's a tremendous amount of literature on suicide and medically well, but the relevance of this literature to the debate over aid in dying for the terminally ill is unproven. Suicidal ideation and thoughts of death are key indicators of psychiatric illness in the medically well. Another key thing being here is that the patients receive the psychiatric help before being administered euthanasia. Another statement from David Smith states that another argument against aid in dying is that the effects of depression or coercion are so indestructible that a psychiatrist cannot attest to a person's capacity to request an aid in dying. In fact, psychiatrists and other physicians have been successfully conducting such evaluations for years when persons request discontinuation of life-sustaining interventions. So me and Nestor went over the fact that patients are suffering and that the lack of euthanasia leaves them with no other alternative to help aid in their pain relief. And it's a right, patients should have the right to die. A statement from the New Mexico 2nd Judicial District Judge Nan Nash stated that this court cannot envision a right more fundamental, more private, or more integral to the liberty, safety, and happiness than the right of a competent, terminally ill patient to choose aid in dying. If decisions in the shadow of one's imminent death regarding how they and their loved ones will face that death are not fundamental and at the core of these constitutional guarantees, then what decisions are. So basically that reinstates the importance of why euthanasia should be legalized. Me and Nestor have met the burden of proof and presented many statistics and statements on how people are suffering, and in fact there are diseases that can't be cured by palliative care, and that the cause of this suffrage is from the lack of having euthanasia, and that euthanasia will help to solve this. Thank you.